From the onset, I wish to advise that today she will not take any side interview. All questions should be asked right on this forum. Thereafter, immediately we are done, she will take leave. We will not do side interviews because we have other pressing issues that await her indulgence as well. So at this particular time, allow me to call upon the President, Madam President, call upon you.
Are you okay with this, Stanley?
Yes.
Yes.
No. No.
No, I like drama school. So
Yeah.
Ma'am, the mics are down, so.
oh, the mics are down. You have no other way.
They'll still do.
Hey, you got me now.
Yeah.
Because somebody else used to have a drama club, and I was a member of that club. So, come to bury Caesar, not lazy. The evil that means we shall live after. Oh my God. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, members of the press. Thank you for your time. It's very important to us. I'm sure all of you have been treated to a video that was circulated by the United Party for National Development, UPND. I want everyone to have no doubt about the origin of the video of Feluna Hatembo and her young brother Milton Hatembo. It is none other than the United Party for National Development. Through their side medias, this is like the 4th edition of that version. The first edition was filmed in Choma by Baita FM. That was a solo video by them. The second video was filmed in conjunction with a number of media houses from Lusaka. Prominent among them was Movie TV, Baita themselves, some people from Daily National, and I think from Diamond TV. That was the second video. Now, what I want to say from the outset is that the contents of the video are sheer nonsense. This is the creation of a cluster of criminals who are trying to shroud their criminality in innocent Zambians such as Feluna and Milton. I want to take you to the genesis of this problem. You will recall that sometime last year, Hakainde woke up one morning from nowhere. He started accusing me of having slept on duty while I was Minister of Finance or Minister of Agriculture. I was very courteous. The reporter who took that video called me and I said to him, please talk to Hakainde Hichilema. Ask him if he really wants me to respond, because you may just be airing something which he didn't mean to say. The reporter called me back. This is a reporter from QTV and said, Hakainde said, say what you like. He couldn't be bothered. And therefore, I had no choice. Since it was over a week, I went to Hot FM and said what I said. And I still stand by what I said. That what I said then was that Hakainde had acquired the house in Sebo Road and that it was a Lima Bank property. I'm sure you recall. I'm doing this because a number of you reporters call me as if the story has just started overnight. I need to refresh your memories. And he called into that program and said what he said. We finished the program. He went back to Hot FM, bought 1 hour of time, and he said a lot of unprintables. That wasn't enough. He went to court He sent me first a letter demanding that I bequeath to him $3 million. This is the letter. Defamation of character of Hakainde Hichilema. My response to this was that I cannot apologize to criminals convicted, suspected, or under investigation, period. I'm very firm that Hakainde Hichilema has a criminal track record. He went further and procured summons. Him and I are in court on defamation charges. He is the plaintiff, I am the defendant. I therefore set out to compile information relating to the frauds in Lima Bank. Because I still insist that Hakainde Hichilema dipped his fingers in Lima Bank liquidation by virtue of him being CEO of Grand Tonton and the joint liquidators, Mulenga and Hamwele, being under his charge. I therefore left Lusaka and went to Zimba to basically talk to witnesses. And I was privileged to be given access to the Felunas. The only thing I was looking for was the Lima Bank. And from 1924 members of the press, that property is purported, mind you, is purported to have been mortgaged to Lima Bank. Farm number 1924 on record at Ministry of Lands has an entry of a discharge of mortgage by the liquidators, joint liquidators. I did privilege the press with that. A cursory perusal of those documents, which are part of court records by Feruna, a cursory record of that reveals some startling information that late Samson Siatembo borrowed money from Lima Bank in 1989. I want you to know that every living member of the Siatembo family will tell you that late Samson Siatembo died in 1987. The entry on the land's record does not show that Lima Bank itself, before it went into receivership or liquidation, entered the mortgage. It demonstrates that, in fact, the liquidators are the ones who went to Ministry of Lands and placed that mortgage to lift it out. Now, it's very strange that a dead man can start borrowing money 2 years after his death. So, when I change from I didn't sign, I've never met Hakainde, and that is also on the videos which were done by Zitukule. Now, when the civil matter is set aside, by way of saying, we have said that civil cases have a lower limit of proof. But criminal cases require you to prove beyond reasonable doubt. The matter before the Court of Appeal was whether a fraud can be caught up in the fluxion of time. Now, I want to take you back to Milton's statement when he was taken with his sister from Mapanza to Lusaka. In the video that they subsequently made, when I mentioned here that the people who had picked them up was Silwindi, Tom Silwindi, and the police were after him, and Mangareta, whom I've since discovered that is just a pen name used for criminality. His real name is Simon Shivanji. When I mentioned that, you recall that Milton in their second video said that they had to seek the help of Mangareta as their cousin. The story is that that person doesn't exist in the family. I also mentioned that Tom Silwindi is a bosom friend of Hakainde Hichilema, and that was confirmed by none other than Mwetwa, MP for Kalomo. He said after Tom was arrested, he said that Tom was hijacked by the police, knowing very well that Tom is a very close friend of Hakainde Hichilema. And I'm telling you that Tom and Mangareta are the ones who went to Mapanza to pick up Milton. I want you to know that I have since learned that Feluna actually called her children and said that these UPND people have gotten to my brother and they want us to discuss the farm. I want to seek your advice. She had hardly even got to her children to seek advice. They picked them up. From the time they were picked to date, they are in the hands of UPND. You will also hear from the videos that Milton himself says that after the ruling, Madam Nawakwi never contacted us. So if they are running away from Edith Nawakwi, what threat would I pose to them if I'm not in touch with them? This current spinning arises out of the fact that Hakainde Hichilema appeared at police headquarters. That interview ended up with a warn and caution on the fraud part of the Farm 1924. And he knows that should he appear before court, if you hear his secretary Mwamba or Mwalia or someone, with a fraud case of this magnitude, where documents are forged, mortgages are forged, Hakainde cannot even ask Noah Dindi, the lawyer, to present the Feluna before the police. He can't, because Feluna never signed that document. You cannot execute a transaction relating to land without an NRC for the person, without their signature, without their residential address, and say that you have access to that property. Now, if Hakainde is innocent, why is he running away? Because I personally said that the trio, Tom Silwindi, who escaped from the police, Feluna, Hatembo, and Milton are residing at his house. This is the reason for the latest hula baro. I have been abused day and night. You have even seen that this group of characters, they circulated my phone number to more than 800 people. One of the sites is called The Hottest Seat. The other site is called HH versus Lungu. These two people in the middle, this one and this one, they circulated my number. And from that, people have even created WhatsApp messages. They are sending WhatsApp messages which don't exist. That's how desperate this despot is. Now, if he's a leader worth his salt, he should stop this. I want you to know that Hakainde is not worth your time as your leader. Because take it this way. Between the Hatembo and the Hambralulas, there is 4,000 hectares between them. Hatembo was the elder brother to Hambralula, George Nsemani Hambralula. George Nsemani Hambralula died first. His elder brother took over the administration of the estate of George Nsemani Hambralula. Upon his demise, the children separated, and that's how Feluna was chosen. Now, Hakainde Hichilema has encroached, fraudulently obtained the property of George Nsemani Hambralula. Late Hambralula had 4 farms farm number 3275, farm number 801, farm number 803, farm number 804. Mr. Hichilema purports that he bought farm number 3275 from the son of late George Hambwalo. But the other 3 properties, he has had caveats on them for periods of around 12 years as an intending purchaser. Now, what type of transaction is that? This is our leader. He puts caveats on properties of a dead man and starts to transact and do business of that. He doesn't pay anything in terms of rent or anything to the successors, and still continues to think that he is the owner of that property, simply subsisting with caveats on them. Then he goes to the other brother, Hatembo, and that is the complaint before the court. That's a criminal fraud. You know what? I just want to ask you, members of the press, what type of a person would you be in a village? Anyone who dies, you are seen with a jacket, or you are seen with their trousers. In my search at lands, I have come across a list of several properties of dead people, which are in the possession of Hakainde Hichilema. And the rest of the question is for you to answer. What type of a leader can only go to the vulnerable people to acquire his wealth? And it is for that I said, as far as I'm concerned, I don't think that his so-called wealth is obtained in a viable way. And it is very clear from property 1924 that Hakainde Hichilema in 2000, that's his own court records, he said that he started to pay ground rent on farm number 1924 in year 2000. They purport that Mr. Hatembo died in 1987, and I'm telling you that the court, the death records, the hospital records indicate that Mr. Hatembo died in 1987. But in order for them to be able to have exclusive access to the property of this deceased person, they decided to concoct a mortgage and go and place it. He must answer those questions. His liquidators must answer. I think the other time I said, I want to hear from the liquidators as to how this situation can happen. And therefore, when you hear Hakainde Hichilema and his cahoot of criminals saying that these people are running from me, that is sheer nonsense. Dismiss it with the contempt that it deserves. Members of the press who have had access to Feluna, and the latest one is Paul from Baita TV, they owe the public the duty of care. A lot of you members of the press, this is not, you are demanding from the state and from the public that you have to have a right to information. Now you have access to these people, you have had access to these people. You need to answer the following questions. How did anyone know where they were hiding? Who took you there? Who paid your bills for you to be able to go there? And if they are hiding, there is a complaint at the police by not just the brothers, but by the children. They are saying their mother is missing. The brothers are saying their sister is missing. They call you to take a video, a secret video. All you can do, because it involves Edith Nawakwi, you go and post it and forget. I just want us to pause here. Of those of you who take those videos, when you observe the people who are always held hostages, what do you see? You never see the person taking the video. Whether you are in Iraq, whether you are in Syria, you never see the person taking the video. You can see a knife, you can see a gun, and you cannot see the person giving instructions. The latest video is extremely disturbing because the victims are not composed, the victims look rattled, and you as a reporter, you take that video and post it and start circulating without reporting to the state as to the whereabouts of these people. These people are being held hostages by the Hakainde clique and thinking that time for nomination will pass and maybe that's when they will release them. I'm very worried that the hyped frenzy that they are running away from Edith Nawakwi, she will kill them. Maybe they themselves want to kill them and come and tie the intestine around my neck. And I thought to myself, I better tell the nation that the one who is holding them is Hakainde Hichilema. Because the day I said Hakainde Hichilema is holding them, he ran away to South Africa. He should have run away to the police station. His house is not a police station. Hakainde is not Inspector General. UPND cannot substitute themselves for law and order. If they truly mean well, they should take these people to the police so that they go and complain about me. I'm grateful to Mwetwa, the MP for Choma, because he was very clear. He said he knows where they are. Zitukule knows where they are. He never said Edith Nawakwi knows where they are. And he should go to the police, and I suggest that the police need to talk to Mwetwa. These people are neighbors to Mwetwa. He has never, as MP for Choma, talked about Feluna in a way that they must be found because these are his voters. He only gets concerned when it is Sejan, when it is the chief, but not the poor. The Bible is very clear. Whatever you do to the least of my brothers, that you do unto me. And I suggest members of the press that be analytical in your work. We have come to a society which is being run on the internet, on Facebook. You cannot. And for me, I've complained to the police. They've already found out who these people are. Don't think in Zambia you can hide behind 2 or 3 phone numbers, because that's what they do. They take a number which they operate on and then use another one. When it comes out, you think this is the number, when behind that number there's another number. How did I personally find out who they are? We didn't even have to go to the police. I had to say, these are the people who circulated my number. It is an offense to circulate my number and start to abuse me using that number, start to create WhatsApp conversations as if it's Edith Nawakwi who is discussing them. I want you members of the press to call a spade a spade. Now, these are our leaders. We will fix it. Barry will fix it. Barry will fix it. He's collecting farms of dead people. Barry will fix it. He's abducting an innocent villager so that he avoids appearing before the courts of law. Barry will fix it. He's defeating the ends of justice. What will happen when you Zambians give him the instruments of power? That will be Armageddon. It will only be for himself, and himself. So, I am saying that the Zambians should know that a man who can always correct properties of deceased persons, and this is not just chipante no information. Farm number 1924, farm number 3277, farm number 3275, farm number 804, farm number 803, farm number... Look, the list is wrong. The owners are demised. His art is to identify the weak point in the family and go and do the conveyancing and say, me, I'm a rich man. I can tell you, I would rather be a poor man than be a poor woman than be a rich woman stealing from the dead, stealing from the graveyard, scavenging from the graveyard. I would rather not be like that. And a person like that, I can tell you, he thinks he's running away. When you are in South Africa, it's in 90 days, you still have to come back and renew. And it would have been better when these people withdrew, which they were shepherded to withdraw. They were taken to LAS, they were taken to Court of Appeal. Are you telling me my mother from Nega village can arrive in Lusaka and know where the Court of Appeal is and where LAS is? They were shepherded there. Are you telling me that these people arrived with their laptops and typed those letters? Those letters were typed by none other than UPND themselves. So they themselves have answers on the whereabouts of Feluna and Milton Hatembo. And the family wants them back. The family wants them back. They better be honorable. If they think that this matter will die after the elections, who knows? They could even be arrested while fighting nominations. You never know why the police are slow. So I'm just giving you a friendly warning. You could be going to fighting and you find that you are being arrested at fighting. I mean, it's been going on for more than 4 months. And I'm also wondering, why are the police so slow? You never know. Maybe we can come back. So take my advice. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam President. I'll be taking questions in a set of 3. You introduce yourself, you tell us the media house you're coming from, then you go ahead to ask your question. All questions will be asked right on this table. We are not taking any side interviews. From here straight, the President will have to take leave. Thank you.
Madam President, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
My name is Kala Mishima, representing Cameroon. Madam, I have about 2 questions or 3 questions.
Yes, sir.
Kala Mchima, Cameroon TV. Sure, you can go ahead.
Thank you.
Sure.
Yes,
Madam, I want to start from the point you raised in the week, earlier in the week or last week, where you said you are taking care of the Hatembo's children or a child. The question is, in what capacity, madam, are you keeping those children? Considering the fact that the Hatembo family is a very big clan, who in this case are you to be in charge of another family's children? You also claim they are dehydrated, malnourished. Does it mean that the family cannot afford to feed them? That's number 1. Number 2, you claim it has now become a well-known fact that when you hold a briefing with about one particular individual, that is HH. In this briefing, madam, you've clearly said and clearly maintained that he is a criminal. Neither you nor me make an allegation that this person is a criminal, unless the courts of law do that. Of course, you clearly stated that maybe undergoing cases, facing criminal charges here and there. But the question, madam, is those are mere allegations. Not until any court of law finds you, Edith Nawakwi or Kala guilty of that offense, then we are going to call you as a criminal. Who declared Hakainde a criminal? Is it you or the courts of law? Lastly, madam, what is your major interest in the Hatembo case? What is your major interest in the Hatembo case? Despite that, yes, they are Zambians. Claire said, poor, and nobody should take their land. Nobody should take advantage of them. You being a leader, you're on firm grounds to say that. Again, why are you pushing this matter so much the work?
Thank you.
This is an election. Madam, we expect also to hear the manifesto, the convention, you may be behind the party activities I stand to be corrected on that. But we also want to hear what you are doing
Ask a question.
to participate in these elections. And of course, what you're also doing to ensure that you speak on other issues other than a civil matter. I think.
Thank you. Those are 3 questions. We'll allow the president to respond, then we can take another set of 3 questions.
Thank you, Mr. Mchima. In what capacity am I supporting the family?